Hey, welcome along to the Jackson Pearce video podcast. I'm here with Alex Farncomb. Mate, how are you?
Hey, everybody. Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. It's Fonzie. Wow, I am good. Coming to you from my wife's office because I don't know why, but I have to work from the kitchen table, even though I'm the person who works remote 24/7. Oh, good. Hey.
Brilliant. How's coronavirus treating you?
I don't like it. I call it COVID-19.
Yeah.
And find COVID-19 to be quite infuriating. Yeah.
Yeah, I
don't like this.
I don't like giving it credit, calling it something novel. I'm with you.
I just like to troll people. Like I'm even doing it in work demos. You know, how's COVID-19 going for you? As if I look like a fool. It's all about, yeah, I'm big into power plays.
Mate, I'm a huge power play fan. What's one of your best power plays? What have you got?
Well, it's not my own. I ripped it from Hamish and Andy, but I like throwing someone's keys on the floor and saying, pick that up. But one I used to do long before power plays existed was, it was called Twice. And so someone would say something to you. So like, ask me a question.
How's your day?
Hey?
How's your day?
Twice. It got to a point where all like probably a group of 20 mates were all in on it, and you don't realize how often you mishear someone when they say something, and so you genuinely would be like, I don't know, and so it actually happens for everyone so much, and so we had to implement a rule because people wouldn't respond. You'd say what? And they're like, no, I'm not saying it again. I'm like, no, I really don't know what you're saying. And so we had to come up with a rule of no twice.
Oh,
like
man.
at least you knew it. That's my best one.
That's
not my best one. There's so many. My life is a power play.
Yeah, hanging up first is a good one. Leaving Zoom meetings first, that's a good one. Like the quick end. Like, okay, guys, we're just and you just bounce. That's always a. But man,
it's the same with leaving group messages.
Oh, yeah, I'll be there. Leave, or even the.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like to do too.
I learned this when I was like maybe 18. Was the smoke bomb for parties?
Yeah, massive fan of that.
I love the smoke bomb. That's a classic, especially ones to a party where you rock up late. So, you know, maybe it might not be a party. This is for everyone listening. You might not really want to go. And then you rock up, you say hi to everyone. You go to the host first, say hello, say your hellos to everyone. Make sure if there's a dance floor, you get on it and get in a photo. That's a good one. And then you say goodbye to the host, just out of, you know, just being genuine. You don't say goodbye to anyone else. No one knows when you left, but everyone knows you were there for a long time.
Yes, I used to apply that strategy. Mine has become more refined because I realized actually no one really cared if I was there. So I preemptively say, hey, we won't be there the whole time. So that's respect. For me, it's about respect of proactive communication. Yeah. Hey, we won't be there the whole time. And usually it's a Saturday night before church, so it's a legitimate reason. Yeah. We won't be there the whole time. Show up and then leave. So no goodbye. No need to get in a photo. Who cares? No one really cares.
Yeah, I'm still bound.
How often do you reflect on a party? Like, oh, what a great party that was.
Oh, almost never.
I bet my wedding day was awesome. I barely reflected on it. You know, like.
Yeah. Here we are. We're reflecting on it now, though. So.
I'm not though. I'm not reflecting on it. I'm just telling you that I don't. Yeah.
I'll pay that. You mentioned Hamish and Andy's. You're like best friends with these guys, aren't you?
I'm really trying to be. I genuinely think I would be a great addition to the trio. I'm coming for Jack Post.
He's the DJ, the mixing guy?
Yeah, I really don't know his role because he's not good if that's his role, but he is great comedic value. He's a great addition to the team.
He
presses buttons. He's a glorified button pusher.
Aren't we all? Maybe just me.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Just you.
Because you've been going on for that for years, and
you're my best friend.
It's It took me. I believe. I genuinely believed you. You comment on their posts. Like, have you seen Shannon Knowles' Instagram and his Facebook?
Yeah, it's a great gag.
Oh, brilliant. I think,
Yeah.
thanks for everyone comments. Thanks, Cobber. I think I lent you my esky. It's brilliant.
It's peak Australian humour. It's great.
I wouldn't say, peak. Yeah, it's not that great of a peak, is it?
No,
still the peak. Hey, I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned that you pastor at Manly, and that you're working and doing some other things. You work a few jobs, don't
you? These days I just work 2.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're pastoring a church and you're working full time for another company, or?
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, full time.
Yeah, cool. Because before that,
I work sales. I work sales for Tidely, which is a American company that is like a one-stop shop for digital solutions for churches.
Yeah, cool. So like everything.
Pretty much. I mean, we're still working out more things. I mean, but we've websites, custom apps, church management systems, giving platform, event registration. Yeah.
Yeah, rad.
It sells itself. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big need.
Yeah, especially during COVID-19, it's been a great need.
Yeah, has that been quite hectic for you?
It was a little bit hectic for me. It's calmed down now. In America, it was insane. Yeah, the business has just exploded.
Nuts, eh? Yeah, so I guess
So that's why I have another job.
Yeah. So is that... Yeah, because I know you were a bartender for a bit? Or you working in a bar?
I was a bartender. I was really set on getting into the craft beer industry. I mean, I've never really just worked at church one job. I've never really been. I for some reason have a deep distrust in the economy or the market to provide for me. I don't know if that's related to any kind of identity issue, but I just don't trust in it enough.
Church? Or
Pardon?
like, do you mean the market as
any market? Yeah. The economy. That's why I said economy at the start. Like, you never know, and so I try and diversify income through work. I mean, I have some investments, but I'm not that savvy enough to say that they're bringing me a great return. Maybe in 30 years, that's worth planning for. But I just distrust it, so I'm always trying to find multiple streams of income. And being someone who really doesn't have anything on qualification wise in terms of, to me, on paper that make me look good, I've got to get my foot in as many doors as possible.
Yeah.
So that's why I do it. And then for me, church is my true calling, but it doesn't always pay the bills very well. So I've always looked at other employment opportunities. And so I was trying to get into craft beer sales, and it just wasn't working out. It's a very, very competitive industry for jobs. And so I worked behind a bar just to get a foot in the door. And that was really fun. That was a really great experience, but it just turned into a hospitality job, and I'm not that interested in hospitality. And then a great opportunity with Tidely came about, and I said, I needed security for the year, and thank God I chose it, because 6 weeks later I wouldn't have had a job.
Yeah, at all. Shivers.
That's what I mean, though. That's proving my distrust.
Yeah. No, I love that. You got that going. Yeah. So then, I'll touch on not having any career qualifications or degrees or anything like that. Do you think they'll be necessary in the future? Is that happening more?
Well, they're not necessary. In my opinion, they're not that necessary now. I mean, in medicine, there's obviously going to be fields where that's required. So I'm not trying to completely write off the education industry. But I lived my life without, and I was told growing up, you're never really going to get anything without a qualification. And I've just found that not to be the case. And I've definitely found the relationships that I've made have really been the people that have opened doors for me. And maybe hard work or work ethic or drivenness and a desire to achieve, maybe matched with some okay interpersonal skills.
Yeah.
I think they're all more important. I mean, I've looked at. I even got a job at branding agency managing their marketing without any marketing degree, and I was responsible for hiring interns who had first class honors in marketing, and I wouldn't have cared. I just didn't care. I don't care about your qualification. Yeah. So I think it's going to become less and less and less important. Yeah.
Do you think that is because of the access to information, or is that part of it? You know, like being able to learn online?
Maybe. Obviously, there'd be people who are more qualified to comment on that. Maybe for me, it's more about you can't really improve your charisma through Google. You've got to work on that through offending people or realizing what makes people tick, or So maybe it's part of it, but I think it's just more about your ability to connect with people, your ability to influence people. I think is actually the greater value. How do I influence people? How good are you at influencing people? That's definitely a major thing. But then there's also the alternative is people who usually get really locked into a concept and can really make it hum. And a stereotype of that's like a developer or an engineer. That's also a really great personal trait. It's not something that you get by uni.
Yeah. Yeah, like finding a niche and then I guess looking to the market and seeing
going hard at it, which is not my vibe.
No. Would you say you're more of a manager of people, or?
I much prefer leadership positions. Yeah. And I would much prefer strategic decision making roles over being. You're always going to be a subordinate. My foot's caught in a cord. There we go. You're always going to be a subordinate, but I'd much prefer leadership management roles. Yeah, I like developing people. I love shaping culture. I like creating and implementing strategies. I don't like doing that much. I'm a terrible doer. I'm terrible at executing. I'm great at executing once. I'm terrible if I have to do it again.
Yeah. Okay.
Easily bored.
Yeah. Okay. So you learn it once, you're done.
Yeah. Typically, it's hard to keep motivated on doing the same thing. But there are people who are brilliant at that. People are brilliant at completing, at seeing a task through to completion. So I like managing teams that have those kind of people, because they're probably feeling that they're flourishing by doing work that I would not, in my wildest dreams, want to do. So I like that kind of stuff. If that's a leadership role, if that's what a leadership role looks like, I'm into it.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and you've definitely through college and just talking to you helped me understand that. I would think a lot like you. For people who would not think like you, or would see you as their worst nightmare if you were their boss, because of working in hospitality or serving at church or any work or doing anything, is that you might come across, or you do come across, as the leader who's not willing to do it himself. How do you balance that of being like, it's not that I'm above it, but it's not my forte, or what is that?
Well, we need to make a distinction on leadership. It's not one thing, one component. I'm not saying you're saying this, but like there's the character of leadership, and then there's the skill of leadership. And so I would be open to admit that there are people who have far greater character traits that suit them to leadership more than myself. But then there's a skill of leadership, which involves influencing people, which involves conflict resolution or confrontation, or that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't go as far to say is that but I understand the objection. It is insecurity that runs through me of that. Like I don't set up chairs at church anymore. And I pretty much resolved not to, not because I don't care to. I set up chairs for a year, and I essentially went from being the guy who put up chairs to running the location. So I'm not opposed to that. No. It's just that the reason why I'm not doing it is that I believe that leadership does what others don't. So why would I take a position that someone else could be fulfilling to grow in their character, to grow in their understanding of our culture, to see the fruit of their work, and I can go and work on other things like align with my gifting, but also the requirement of my role, which would be strategic decisions and message preparation. You probably don't want most guys and girls who are putting out seats or who are on a really technical focused role. They don't want to, and you don't really want them spending most of their time preparing messages and delivering sermons, it's probably not going to be a good match. So for me, I don't have any well, I do have some insecurities sometimes, but it really is a belief of mine that I'm constantly allowing to shape my thinking, that leaders, their primary role is to do what others can't do or don't do. That's the pioneering, innovative element of leadership. Obviously, leadership is also service. But again, I don't see service as the lowest task or the least significant or least attractive task. I don't understand why that's service, because, for example, to be a mother and a father is an admirable and ambitious thing, but that is not that's not a low task, even though you're going to have to do a lot of lowly things, like, my mate's just had a baby and he's getting pooped on, So I'm not saying that leadership isn't also service, but the skill that you have, the gifting that you have, that can be a service to people. It's a service to my people when I'm thinking, how do I help? How do we get so strategic that we're not creating unrealistic expectations on people, which is then putting pressure on them and causing unnecessary stress? How can I, with my team, develop a concrete solution that gets us towards a goal that we're in agreement and alignment on? And then also, how can I continue to deliver great messages that are relevant, but also bring insight into God's word? So that's service. That's absolutely service. I think we just also need to, so there's a distinction of leadership on a character and ability thing, and then there's a skill thing. Then there's a difference between task and servant heart. I have a servant heart in my leadership, but that doesn't mean you're going to see me putting out chairs. But yeah.
Yeah, great. That's awesome. I love how the depth of which you've thought that through, and thinking through the.
I think I just thought it through then, which is why I got caught up on the parent analogy. I've never said that before, but thanks.
No, I love it. Yeah. So to quote you, parenting is a terrible service, and you'll get crapped on. That's pretty much.
But it's also an esteemed. It's also an esteemed service. Yeah. My point is that you're gonna get crapped on.
Yeah.
But it's
no matter if you're doing parenting or not, you're always going to get crapped on. You put so much thought in that, and so I would assume that you've put the same amount of thought into not only where you serve or where you work, but your own life, because I mean it does contain that. So
yeah, for
you, and I mean I've been in classes with you in college where you've talked through a timetable or a calendar, setting boundaries, like that. Not necessarily what does each hour of your week look like, but how do you set it up or stick to that?
I mean, it's been difficult during COVID-19. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I would align my calendar around my values. Not to get too deep into psychology, but I want to live my life according to the values of a healthy adult who is present, who is engaged with his or her emotions, who has mental clarity, who can be generous in empathy and compassion, who can have the courage to take on difficult tasks. And every person has different values. Mine more lean towards love, spontaneity, and humor. How can I have fun if I'm not having fun? I pretty much orient my entire existence around having fun. And it's not that I forsake tasks or duties because they're not fun. I just work hard at making them fun as best as I can. So the guiding light on my calendar scheduling is my values. So I can't sit still for an hour. So I'm going to put that into my schedule. Then I'm also going to have space where nothing is organized. And for me, that's usually 6 hours of a day, hopefully, where I just can do what I want. And sometimes that means I'll play FIFA for 6 hours.
Outside of work or both?
I don't define it like that. Both. It's a mixture. It's got to work. Work is a vehicle. It's not a identity marker. So it'll work with what's going to work for me. So yeah, sometimes that means I'm working into the night, but that meant in the afternoon when I was down, I was able to replenish so that when I came into the nighttime, I was firing.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I think boundaries are important, but they've got to be boundaries according to your values, not someone else's. So if someone tells you don't work nights, that's what works for them. I'm more inclined to go, don't work between 1 and 4 p.m. because I got nothing left. There's nothing there. So how do I schedule it? I'm definitely not someone that's every hour. I really orient my week and my life around what the values are. And I believe those values contribute to other people too. It's not about me. just about me. I think if I'm in line with my values, that's going to help other people. That's going to serve others better too.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So then, okay. So say, I mean, I'm 22. I have done a college class with you pretty much on that. So I would say that I've got a foot ahead. If you are like working, studying, you're like, my calendar rules me. You know, my uni tool. I like fun. You know, I like the sound of this. Living my week. Like, how much fun can I have? How do I? Do I just wipe it clean and just start from scratch, or do I go, okay, in 2 months I'd love it to look like this? Or
you got to play a long game. You firstly have to play a long game. Like, I've only been experiencing a really satisfying calendar for maybe 18 months, but I burnt out twice before that, in the 8 years before that in my 20s. So it's a long game. I learned through massive mistakes. So my first encouragement would be, you don't just get it how you want straight away. Even in this new season, I picked up a new job where I'm bottom of the rung. I'm just a sales rep. Like, I got to make meetings. I got to call people back who are annoying. Like, I don't have the same level of freedom that I have, but I can work. I'm working on how do I, like, I'm immediately in the job going, how am I going to optimize this to make it work for the business and also for me? Like, Pearce has already heard me talking about, I need to figure out how I can contribute value to the business, and then also the business see me as more valuable. And so that's a long game play though. So I've got plans in place, but I'm not going to see it immediately. And I think that is the key part. Okay, it's actually really, God has designed fun. It's really awesome to want fun. But here's what too many people in my generation mistake they make is they just go, nah, it's all out the window. Let's just have fun. That doesn't develop character. My point is that fun is that goal. Fun is that pathway you want to be on, but you're going to have to work to get that. And then it's a more rewarding fun, and it doesn't cost people things. You're not letting people down. You're not upsetting people by not delivering on your commitments. You're not letting down a business by being self-absorbed and just doing what you want. That's selfishness. Fun doesn't always, like, living a life of fun doesn't mean you're always going to have fun though. I think that's a unrealistic measure. But most of my life is fun. I mean, this season sucks. I'm not having fun in COVID-19 time, but typically it's pretty fun. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So back to how do I do it? You got to play a long game. So set a goal of 3 years, 5 years. What's it going to look like? If your uni calendar is just something you feel like you can't get through and negotiate, well, cool. Treat it as the thing that cannot move. But what else can? I guarantee, like I said, say this in the class, I could find 8 hours in most people's calendars in an instant, like so easily. I reckon for most. What are
you looking for? How can I find my 8 hours without having a chat with Alex Farncomb?
Okay, well, figure out your values. It's specific to each person, but some people value, because some people really value solace, silence, and quiet, right? So for me, no, thank you, not at all. 15 minutes is good. The 3 minutes I was waiting before this call, that was enough silence for me for today, right? Whereas Pearce, my wife, she needs a lot of silence, right? So it's going to be different for each person. Yeah. But I'd ask for your values. So what do you truly value? So that's what you should try and figure out. What are the real values in my life? And there's a mixture. There's be like 100 different values that people have. And then figure out what in your schedule is not in alignment with the value. And then ask, well, why is it there? Who am I serving? What am I serving? Am I serving an insecurity of needing to have other people happy with me or pleasing other people? Wow. Am I serving an insecurity of inadequacy that I have to do this, otherwise I'm not adequate, otherwise people won't like me, whatever? Am I serving the need of an idol? That there's this idol that is driving my life that is causing me to choose and prioritize this, even though it's not in line with my values, which let's talk about value as a synonym for your God makeup, how God has designed you. So an idol will completely distract and destroy you and move you away from that. Wow. And then I go, okay, well, let's get rid of them. You just destroy idols. They're all essentially come back to idolatry. And what does the Bible do with idols? It flipping tears them down, burns them up, strikes them with lightning. Just get rid of it. Yeah. So that schedule, that thing in your schedule, to me, that just symbolizes idolatry. And this isn't to condemn. This is to really encourage you, going, hey, you're free. You don't have to have that in your schedule. You don't need that.
Wow. Whew. Wow. That's good.
I bet this is better than Christian.
Yeah, no, this is great. I mean, the people listening to this right now, and a few people probably just pause it, or they're at work listening, and just open up their calendar and just go, shivers, I'm going to spend the next.
Oh, there's so much better. I will, honest to God, I will give my time up for. I believe in this stuff. I will give my time up for free if you are willing to give me an hour to talk about your values, and then an hour to rip your calendar to shreds. I'll do it for anyone. I love this stuff.
There you go.
But you don't have to do it. I'm not a sage. I'm not trying to present myself as an authority.
See, that's my first giveaway on the podcast. So thank you for offering free value and free content. But I warn you, anyone who thinks that would be a great idea, he doesn't take it lightly, and he will rip your calendar to shreds, and he will put you in your place, which is a great place to be. You mentioned that in the last 8 years, you've burnt out twice. First of all, is that what do you define burnout? Because I think in my head, well, you probably really didn't burn out if you did it twice. And is that just a buzzword for I got really bored and really tired, and I got sick, or what was that?
Well, I guess I don't know cars very well, so help me here. But if you burn out the tire on a car and you replace it, can you burn out the new tire?
Okay. Yep. No, I'll pay that.
Yeah. So you can find new vulnerabilities and new ways of screwing it up.
Okay. Can you tell us more about what that looked like?
The idol of ambition.
Yeah.
I was driven to be the next big thing. And so I used to work 5 jobs. This is the second time. That was the bigger one.
What was the first one then? Was it like a semi burnout, or like was it?
The first one more presented just it was the platform for the second one being more dramatic. The first one was just doing too much and therefore being anxious and exhausted and offended. But I was pretty young. I was like 21, 20. And then the second one I was about 25, 26. And I was doing everything I could. I was the C3 global communications manager. I was traveling the world with Pastor Phil as his kind of assistant, helping him in that, which is like 3 months a year on the road, which is flipping awesome. I learned so much. I was running a young adult service in our Roselle location that was doing well and growing. I was running college marketing. So I had 5 jobs as well as multiple responsibilities, and I was getting married. So I just was
sounds like a
overwhelmed. Yeah. And they were a lot of those roles were a lot of work, a lot of pressure, especially when I was putting more pressure on myself with this idol of ambition.
Wow.
I was trying to. I probably use performance to avoid the feeling of rejection. So if I'm performing well, I'm not afraid of being rejected. And so if I'm doing a lot and I'm performing well in those areas, well, then I'm not rejected. And so it really comes down to the idol of ambition and the idol of acceptance or through the wrong channel, not in Christ Jesus. So I burnt out. I was depressed. I was self-loathing.
How long did that last for?
6 months. Before I handed on a few things, and I worked 3 days a week. You were
in those roles, like that for 6 months?
Yeah. It was really bad. It was really, 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 really bad. It was a terrible foundation for my marriage. That's why I quit before we got married, so we weren't going into our marriage with this. Like, I could show my wife that this marriage is more important than my ministry. And so there's still the uncovering. So the first 6 months I was married, so 6 months after, I just worked 3 days a week. I went to church, came to church late, left straight away, and didn't do much else for 6 months.
Wow.
I was cooked.
Yeah, mate. Did people notice? Did people or did you push through it?
I was definitely. I mean, by giving up those things, I'm facing the demon that I've been hiding from, which is rejection and shame. I'm ashamed of the loss.
But before that giving up of it, right before you got married,
yeah,
that 6 months, in that 6 month period was no one like, hey, what's going on, or you shouldn't do that, or what was that?
There wasn't much inside. I mean, that's the trap sometimes in our world. If you're performing, you're doing good. If you can crack jokes, I was looking good on the platform.
So things are going well performance-wise, but internally not so good.
Distraction. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's compounding. You're not where you are at the end is not where you were halfway through, but then it's compound. And the more that happens, and it accelerates. It's like a COVID-19 graph.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was pretty bad.
At what point did you recognize it as burnout?
Probably on reflection.
Years, months?
Didn't really. 3 months maybe. Realizing, I was cooked.
Wow.
Absolutely cooked. Absolutely just nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing but self-loathing. I mean, that's a good sign. There are so many symptoms of burnout. I actually read a book by Wayne Corderow, I can't remember pronounce his name. He's a Hawaiian megachurch pastor who burnt out. He wrote a book called Leading on Empty. And I think I started crying when I read that.
Wow.
And I realized, okay, I'm in trouble. Yeah.
That was after or before?
I actually can't remember the chronology. I can't remember when it was, but I remember crying and going, I'm in trouble. Yeah.
That's never a good feeling.
Yeah. No. So I think burnout is true. I think it's true. And there's so many modes of burnout. There's moral burnout. There's physical burnout. There's moral burnout. That's when, guys and girls have affairs. There's physical burnout where your body deteriorates or you just get mega fat or mega skinny. There's mental emotional burnout, which is the depression, anxiety. Yeah. So there's multiple ways of burning out. It's not one way, and that's why it's hard for sometimes people to grasp, what is burnout? Yeah, and it's more than just capacity infringement. So if you're healthy and your capacity or your boundaries are crossed, you just walk back over the fence. It's like a little white picket fence on people's front yards, right? If you're healthy, it's easy to get back into health. It's easy to get back in the right place. If you're unhealthy, if you're on the pathway of burnout, when you cross the line, it's like the wall Trump is trying to build. It's going to take a long time to get back.
Yeah.
That was pretty clever what I did.
Yeah, no, I'll pay that. That's a good reference. Mate, tell me.
Thanks.
Tell me about the time that you made it onto C3 Church Watch.
Oh, source of pride, man. So good. I didn't just make it onto Church Watch. I didn't just make it onto Church Watch. I made it onto, I hesitate to bring up the company. It's called Pirate Christian Network, which is run by a dude called Chris Roseborough, who is just the problem is with Church Watch, there wasn't much following except for people from C3 going, this guy's an idiot. But with Pirate Christian, he's got a reach of 20,000 people, maybe more followership of that in America. And he reviewed it. Church Watch gave it to him and he reviewed my sermon. So I made the big time.
Oh, wow,
this
wow,
is the guy
okay,
who's reviewing
people who
Bill
are
Johnson and...
Yeah, so for people who are listening, C3 Church Watch is this guy from Sydney who just writes about, being like a watchful eye, just seeing how C3 Church is going, breaking doctrine. But this Pirate Bay of Church Watch, whatever that is a bigger one in America.
Much bigger.
So it's pretty much just looking out for people.
All denominations.
Just churches who are doing the wrong thing, but they have a certain bent against
charismatics. Yeah,
charismatics.
And I just thought it was unfair. I think he was a.
So you got on that, the big one in America.
I preached at Oxford Falls. Yeah, I preached at Oxford Falls when I was 23, I think 22, and he reviewed it. And I thought, well, how unfair! I'm 22 years old, man. It's like I'm a kid. I'm a kid. You're like, all right, Joel Osteen, sure. I'm like, he's a bit older. He's got a massive network. I'm a kid. Who cares about me? I've got 500 followers. What are you doing? Leave me alone. Anyway, that was a source of pride, though. I didn't really listen to it. Steve Burgess listened to it for me, and he just said, "Don't bother."
Yeah.
So I caught snippets, but oh no, actually, I listened to it a year ago. I listened finally, like years later, and I was like, "Oh, it's really not too bad." He didn't really have much to say.
Yeah. Yeah. The fun of hindsight. Well, thanks for coming on. Good to have you on the
Sure, man.
podcast.
Good job.
I still haven't got a name yet, so I'm taking submissions. Any kind of cool hip names? I don't know. I've got interview, like being in someone else's shoes, just because it's like an interview.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Thank you. And then Levi recommended the platform, which is quite ironic, and it's a little bit of a jab. So I'm just trying to figure out. What do you reckon?
You're better off doing a self-deprecating name, so that you appear less douchey.
Yeah, I didn't want to do the Jack Pearce video podcast.
Yeah, I would even go a level below the platform. I'd call it like the footstool, and then.
That's good. Hey, thanks for.
But I mean, your thing.
Yeah.
You're no worries, man. You're just interviewing people. Like, you're not trying to say I got something to say. You're trying. I think lots of people have something to say. So I think you can call it the Jackson Pearce podcast, but I like interview.